All right, welcome back, everybody. I've got a exciting video for you today. This is kind of a continuation off of the last video we did, where we learned how to make these vector displacement brushes that I use to create the hair on this nymph or fairy or whatever you want to call it. But it really turned out really good, and I'm going to show you today how we did it. So, I'm doing things a little differently this time. I'm going to do a time-lapse video of how I got up to this point here. I'm going to show you how to modify it real quick, how to modify the brushes, because when I first designed them, they kind of went straight out, and that was not the effect I wanted. I kind of wanted to curl over like it is here, and so I'm going to show you real quick how to modify them. And then I'm going to show you the basic creation of how I set this all up. And then we'll come back into ZBrush after the little video, and I will finish it up and take it over to Keyshot and start rendering. So let's hop over to the video here and we'll start playing. If you don't want to bother with making your own brushes, you can definitely go over to my Gumroad page and get them there. And as you can see in the video here, I am basically loading each of the brushes. There were 6 of them. And basically, if you just come over here and do to mesh instead of from mesh, it'll generate a mesh of your vector displacement. And then all you have to do is just go in and modify it. As you can see, I'm just masking off the end of the leaf towards the stem and then going in and rotating it. I'll shrink the mask just a little bit, smooth it out, and then do from mesh, and then I create a new one there. So I'll go through all 6 of them and create it or modify each one of them. And then I will delete the original 6. And that's basically how I went about modifying the brushes. And this brush will be available on Gumroad, so you can just go download it and play with it and do whatever you want. Create whatever crazy creature you want or environment. It can be applied to a lot of different things. So, but for today, we're going to be working on the nymph. So as you can see, I'm just going through all of them there. Let's see if I can speed up the video here, and we'll hop into the time lapse of the nymph. Here I am just creating an icon for the brush there, saving it out, and then we'll start on the nymph here. So basically, you grab this female head model from inside the project folder, so it ships with Zbrush 4R8. And what I'm doing here is basically making a duplicate of the mesh of the head itself, and using the slice curve, I am going through and creating a hairline or a skull cap, whatever you want to call it. So this way I have just basically a separate subtool of just the leaves themselves, because I didn't want to have to subdivide the female head like crazy. And if you haven't worked with the vector displacement brushes, you'll start to notice that if you get too close to another one that you drew out, you'll start getting interference from it. And basically what I'm doing here is I am creating some edge loops there so I can basically close off this mesh, because I want to make it a solid mesh. So, and then now I just mask the borders and then shrunk it down, and then we'll use the Z modeler brush and then just close the hole there. And then I believe I make some extra edge loops here, just so it doesn't collapse so much when we subdivide it. I did put an extra edge loop there, control loop, but you'll see here in a second that I end up deleting it, because what I do is I'll deflate it just like -3, and you'll notice that there's like a little ridge there that develops, and it's because of that extra little edge loop I put there. So I just go in and delete it, and it's gone. And now everything inflates properly, because I want it just below the other mesh, the actual head itself. And what I'll do, what you see here, I'm making like 3 separate subtools, and we're going to make we're going to have 3 separate subtools of leaves, because like I said, if you get too close to one another there, they start to interfere with each other. So that's why I went with that aspect there. And you'll see in best practice, start from the bottom and work your way up. And obviously the angles on these brushes when I created them aren't the best. I could have actually had them out a little bit more, but they just, yeah, you have to work with it a little bit. So as you can see, I go in and I'll draw one out. Sometimes I'll delete back a couple times, Control Z a couple times, undo. I use symmetry in a lot of it there until I get to like the center of it, then I'll take symmetry off, just so I could put one like dead center there. And then, yeah, so we're working with the large forms first. I probably should have done the smaller forms, but I wanted to get the basic silhouette set up first. So slowly but surely I fill in the whole skull cap itself. Now I'm going in without symmetry on there. And now what I'll do is, as you can see, I'm using the move topological brush. So this way I can move individual leaves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's a little finicky there. You'll see here in a second, I'll probably go over to, I think I already did. Nope, I haven't done it yet, but I'll go over to my brush settings over here, and you'll see me hit backface mask. And that'll alleviate some of the problems with moving around objects. Actually, I think I do it on this one, or the next one, I think. I'm not sure, I can't remember. But I'll actually do backface masking. Just, yeah, I already have it on. So what I'm doing here is like I'm going in, trying to fill up the voids with small, medium details. And then now I picked up the leaves that we created in the previous video. And I'm just getting small micro details. It doesn't have to be super high res. I wasn't too worried about resolution. I just kind of need something to fill the blank spaces around there. And once we're done here, that's pretty much what I did to get to the model I showed you at the beginning of the video. And there it is. So that took me about 40 minutes or so just to do that part. Took me about 10 minutes to modify the brushes, to make the brushes themselves. Probably about, if you look at the last video, it was almost an hour long. So that's why I'm doing this time lapse for you guys. So this way we can speed up the process here. So now we are over back in ZBrush. I loaded up the model here that I saved from earlier. So the reason I wanted to cap everything off was with those with the leaves here. Let me show you. You can see it's all capped off in there because I want to do some Boolean operations. And the trick with Boolean is you have to have solid models. They have to be watertight. So that's why I made this little shell under here. So we're going to do some Boolean operations. So we got to set up our subtools correctly. So what I'm going to do here is the main head here, I want to make a couple duplicates of it. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to go ahead and just throw him or her all the way to the bottom, and go back up here, and I'm going to throw this one down one. I want to be below the leaves, so this way I could do a subtractive. And it's kind of hard to see on my UI, but if you actually click, it'll actually go to start. So this one and this one will interact with each other. So I'm going to create another, I'm going to create another duplicate. I'm going to move it down below the other leaves, and then change it to subtractive. Turn that to start. And then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate. Move it down below the other leaves, subtractive on the head, and make sure all the eyeballs are on. Okay, I got solo turned on, sorry. But if you don't have the eyeball on, it won't do the whole operation. It'll just ignore whichever ones you don't have turned on. So the eyes, I want them to be separate, and then this head, I want it to be separate. So every time you click a start, each one of these will be a different subtool whenever it generates the Boolean operation. So now we've got this one all set up, ready to go, and all we have to do is click Live Boolean. Now you'll see some artifacts here, and I'm not sure what that is. It's just some sort of error, but I've run it and it worked just fine. So I'm going to do turn on Allow Dynamic Subdivision, and I'm going to go ahead and click Make Boolean. Now this will take probably a few minutes. It takes a few minutes for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and I'll come back with the results. Alright, I'm back, and it completed the operation there. I'm still on the original mesh. If you don't know anything about Boolean operations, it actually makes a separate tool up here in your tool palette. So if you're ever curious on why your model hasn't changed, it's actually up here. It'll say UMesh and then whatever name you have on the top subtool. So we click that, boom, and there you go. It has finished the operation there. It's really hard to tell what has happened, but if you jump back to the original, where's the original? Here. I went from 25 million and then went all the way back down to 5 million. So because it's gotten rid of, it's basically gotten rid of that little inner shell that I created to begin with. So now I just have the leaves and the head and the eyes, and that's it. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So let's go ahead and hit solo, and as you can see, this is the main leaves here. As you can see, the head itself has subtracted out of there, but it still looks like it's protruding right out of the head, which is kind of cool. If we had done it the other way, if we had just done a regular Boolean operation, let me turn that off. If we had done a regular Boolean operation, it would have fused everything together. It would have fused it to the head. It would have fused the leaves to each other in each group or each subtool. So this way, it's a little better. It's a little more separated. So, and it's capped off everything there, which is nice. So if we need to mask anything, we can just mask off the caps, because if you look at it, the polygroups are different. Because it took the polygroup from the head and put it right there and fused it, and then the leaves themselves have a different polygroup. So continuing on, we'll go through each leaf here, go to this leaf here, and did the same operation. The eyes are still intact, and the head's still intact. So we're doing pretty good there. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn solo off now. What I want to do, I'm going to take the two main leaves, and I am going to go ahead and merge them down, because what I want to do is I want to add some water droplets over everything, over the top of the leaves. So go ahead in the top leaf there and just merge down and click OK. Alright, now it's merged them both together. Now they're both together. And I am going to go ahead and probably rename this leaves. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate and rename water. Okay, so let's do a quick operation with, I'm going to go into our Z plugins. I'm going to go Decimation Master, because I don't need super high polys for this operation. So we're going to pre-process this guy. It shouldn't take too long. It's not trying to hold on to UVs or anything. Almost there. Okay, so I'm gonna take him down to about 50,000. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and decimate. That's a little too much. What I want to do, let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and we'll get rid of that little shell there. We don't need those. Let's go geometry, delete hidden. Actually, Control Z, Z. Let's go ahead and we don't really need all of the leaf. We don't need the stems. Let's go to visibility. Yeah. Okay, so since we got that the Boolean cut there, I'm going to go ahead and open up display properties, double. There we go. Now we can see both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and just grow this. We're just growing out just a little bit here. Not too much. That'll work. So go ahead and we're going to reverse the selection. So we basically got rid of the stems and go back to your geometry and delete hidden. Now let's go ahead, pre-process. Alright, done pre-processing. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to put an arbitrary number there and then go back to my 50,000. There we go. Decimate current. There we go. We just wanted to get, just the basic form of it. And that's going to be perfect for a nanomesh operation that we're going to do now. But first, one more thing, because I want just the top of the leaves, so I'm going to look straight down on this model. This works in some occasions. Sometimes it doesn't work that well. So I'm going to go ahead and do group front. And since it's a two-sided, each of these leaves are all two-sided, which is great. As you can see, we've isolated just the top part of the leaf, and that's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and I got the top. Make sure. Yep. Purple's the top. Alright, go to geometry and delete hidden. I know, lots of processes here. Sorry if I'm going too fast. BZM for Z modeler. Right click on a polygon and we're going to do insert nanomesh and all polygons. And just drag it out. And you can see a bunch of cubes generate in there. That's fine. So we're going to go, I'm going to zoom out a bit here. We're going to go into Nanomesh real fast. We're going to do Edit Mesh and frame him back up. Go to Geometry, Divide, Divide, and one more Divide. We're not going to be super close to it, so it can stay faceted like that. And go ahead, Delete Lower, and do a Control W just to make it one polygroup. Go back under Nanomesh and uncheck Edit Mesh. Now we've got a bunch of spheres in there. So we can go ahead and turn off Show Placement. So now we don't see that anymore. We can unsolo everything. Now we can see our actual leaves. So now we need to get some randomness going in on this guy here. First, we need to change the offset. Suck that back in there. That's good. We're going to get some randomness. We're going to get some width. Not too much. And then change the variety there. I may lower the width just a little. Just a little excessive. There we go. Same thing with the length. Get a variety in there. We're going to get some height variations here. Okay. Let's go ahead and do a random distribution because we don't need that many. Let's see here. What else can we do? Let me zoom out. May change the overall size. And Pixelogic, if you're watching, can you do just a random overall size? That would be awesome. Instead of width and length and height, I need a random overall size. That's just me having a little rant there. And as you can see, we have got water droplets on here now. I may increase the size a little bit more and lower the random distribution. There we go. If you don't like exactly where it was placed, just do a random seed. It'll shift it around a little bit for you. And pretty cool. They're all right on top there, just where I wanted them. Awesome. All right, so we're just about set up to take it over to Keyshot. I need to do one more thing. As you can see, the leaves there are a little faceted. So we're going to take that, we're going to go to our main leaf here. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn off polyframe and do a divide. And see if that helps us out. Yep, it looks like it did. Still a little bit here and there. You could probably do a little bit of smoothing to correct that, but I'm not going to go into that. I'll let you get crazy with the details. So, okay, so here we are. We've got our model, and she's pretty much ready to go to Keyshot now. So let's go ahead and do Preferences, Render, External Render, Keyshot, and click your BPR. And I will see you in Keyshot in just a second. Alright, we're back here in Keyshot. Our model has come over quite nicely. Now I'm using the Zbrush to Keyshot bridge, so that's how I was able to do it within Zbrush. So you can do a couple different things here. You can do, you know, if you want just a cool render of your model, you could just drop that Ambient Occlusion on there. Makes a real nice model there, or representation for you there, just to show off your model. I don't know why Ambient Occlusion renders just look so cool, but I don't know, that's just me, I guess. But that's not what I'm in here to show you. I wanted to show you how to get a little more realistic on this girl here. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to put just a matte gray on everybody for a moment here while I set everything up. I want to do edit, add geometry, sphere. We're going to I'm going to try to make a what do I want to make? I want to make just sort of a key light type thing here. And I'm just moving it right in front of her there because the leaves kind of obscure the eyes a little bit. So I'm going to double click, so I get to the material there, and I'm going to change that to a area light diffuse. And it gets you a little more key light there. You're able to see the eyes a little better there. Let me go scene, move. Trying to do this first before I get into the advanced materials there because they take forever to render. So let's double click on the material. I know I'm not going to need that much wattage there for the material. Well, maybe I might. Let's see, 60. Okay. So, and let's... Actually, you want to do not visible to camera, so turn that sucker off. Turn visible to shadows off so it doesn't create a shadow. So as you can see, we got a nice little key light shining up in there to get a little more detail in there. Great. Alright, so let's start doing some advanced materials here. First, let's set up our, that's our leaves. Gotta identify everything here. Actually, oops. So I want this. Okay, so the top and the bottom are leaves. Okay. So do this, hold down Control, click that one, Properties. Actually, I want to unlink all materials. There we go. Get these two together. We're going to link those two materials. Now we can start doing this. So translucent in your materials tab here, and drop human skin onto the skin. And you can see it's already turning out really nice. Now drop that human skin on the leaves. Alright, now let's go in there and let's edit that human skin. Let me unselect that. We'll mess with the water here in a second. If you want, you can change the surface color. You can go to a dark green. Dark green, okay, and then change the subsurface color to a light green there. May want to but I've got a better one for you. Actually change it. We're going to make sort of a kind of a daisy like texture there. We're going to change that to let's get a kind of a burnt orange. There we go. I think that one's going to work. So let's change our water. Where's the water? That's the water right there. So go into your liquids, and we're going to do liquid water ripples and drop it right on the water there. It's easier to do it over here than try to find it on your mesh here. So go ahead, let's double click the water here. Let's change some of the properties. You're not really going to notice color wise, it's not really going to change that much. Click OK. But we'll start to see a little better difference if you raise this up, I think to about 1.36. You'll start to notice the water a little bit more. Otherwise, it just kind of absorbs the color of the leaves. So let's see, if we hold Control and rotate our environment around, let's see. With these advanced materials, it's very hard to see exactly what it's doing. I mean, it kind of got a cool backlight there. That's kind of cool. Let's just go environment. Let's go back to the 0. That's not bad. I guess that's going to be okay. You can definitely add more environments on there. We could try 2K one here. See how that looks. 3 panels. Definitely have to play with it to see what you can get. You could throw it into one of these HDRIs here, these actual captured ones here. Definitely play with that, but I think I'm just going to go back to the startup, wherever that is. Start up. Yep, there we go. Back to 0. Boom. And let's see, let me change the leaves here. I'm going to change the bump. I'm going to increase the bump real quick. 4. You won't really notice it until you fully render it. So let's see. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pause this and let this render out a little bit, and we'll see what we come up with. Alrighty, done rendering. Quick little 10-minute render, low res, but you can definitely see the details in there. Obviously, you could probably do a lot better job with the materials and the lighting and stuff like that. But it's just a quick idea for you on how to manipulate some of these translucent materials there. You can also bring in polypaint data, and if you drag a material on there and you hold down the Alt button, it'll hold on to the polypaint texture. So this way you can still retain that texture and then still manipulate all the other properties that go along with that material. So let me show you real quick. This one I took a lot more time with. This is one I did the other day, trying to practice for this one here. So obviously I took a lot more time with it and did a much higher quality render, and then threw it into Photoshop, added a background and a nice little gradient over it, give it some real nice color into it. But the possibilities are pretty endless with ZBrush nowadays, so it's a pretty awesome program now. So I think that's going to end this tutorial there. Definitely give me a like and a subscribe. I appreciate every one of you guys, and I will catch you in the next video.